Hello, it's Kamuk here today with today's stash locations. Oh wait, it's November, and the event's over. Why am I making this now? Well, if you were following the guide, I was tracking your every move you made over the past 14 days. So today, I'm going to go over the general experience of the 2023 Halloween events on the Minecraft Championship Island server, and show how lost you and the player base was for finding all the stashes and the chests through the power of data. Laying the ground terms. How am I able to tell how well you did at the hunt? Well, looking at supply and demand. On the supply side, we had 6 YouTubers throw their hat into the ring with only 2 coming out alive. Total view count gives me the day's difficulty, while the retention graphs tell me what specific stash/chests you cheated on. Thanks to Leto for providing his retention graphs as well to eliminate video creator error like jump cuts or Leto being too good at parkour compared to the rest of you. These values don't tell me what portion of the overall player base on the server failed to find a stash or chest, so we have to find the demand, aka how big is the MCCI player base. Ideally, it would be unique logins to the server each event cycle, but since that's not publicly available, the next best thing is to use the max player count instead, hence a ratio of portion of the players resorted to using a video guide. Obtaining player count data was a pain since different sites uses different time zones, and the server is in UHTC and the cycle starts at 10 in the morning, while other sites do at different time zones at different times of the day, so it was kind of a pain to get it all sorted. Eventually I had to sort through 400,000 data points in order to find the max values and to align them up with the event cycle. Okay, let's get started. For day 1, each person was still figuring out their style and on how to do the videos for the daily events. So there's a whole bunch of different thumbnails and video lengths and whatnot that's unoptimal by a lot. For me, I was just helping out a lot of people via in-game chat and was debating about making a video guide, since viewership would literally be dead after 24 hours, aka after the events shifts and the locations change. After chat baked me too, I'm like,
we'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Spots where players needed help. Today's difficulty was actually the exact average across all the days of the event, with players mainly having problems getting to the sewers to find the one that's located in there. Now my viewers specifically had hard times on stashes that had secret entrances, like for example the underwater cave behind the Noxcrew building, in the Samurai Dojo that had the waterfall entrance, and underneath the green base in the secret cave shrine thing where you have to carefully drop down without passing the entrance of the cave. And then Leto's group, they just had a hard time climbing the mountain. Day 2. Well, that pretty well cost approximately 45 minutes of time lost with potentially hidden consequences. Also, the stash counter was bugged and was combining the previous day's 1 stash count into 2 days, so if you happen to find them all the first day and you found them all the second day, you would have 30 out of 15 instead of just supposed to be 15 out of 15. But that took a little bit longer to get fixed during the day, but that was just more of just an inconvenience. Standardization of as many aspects of the video making process as possible, like for example the thumbnail, description, editing templates, etc. Anything to make the video upload faster earlier in that 24-hour period to maximize the viewing time. There was also a Discord group made to share intelligence and basically forming a search pattern of blitzkrieg for the countryside and mouse holing through the densely populated urban areas. Spots where players need help. Overall, today was really good for the players not having any challenging times, with the views to player count ratio being down. However, my viewers still needed help finding the cave entrance by the Noxcrew building. Day 3. First smooth day of operation on the server side. Spots where players needed help, not as many needed the video aid since it was the weekend, so players had much more free times on their hand to find them all on their own. Mainly the ones that gave them trouble was the ones that were indoor, throwing players for a loop, kind of like the one located upstairs by the Splinter's workshop, and the one on the second floor of a townhouse. Also, my viewers had a hard time with the parkour at the radio tower for the chest. Day 4. Spots where players need help. Still a lower portion of help needed since it was still the weekend, but the majority of the spikes were caused by the creators routing more so than the actual stash difficulty itself. For example, like me dropping down here. Day 5. Spots where players needed help. Since it was the Monday, the first day of the work week, school and work was back in session, making players resort to using the videos in their limited time, with the ratio of views to max player count spiking all the way up to a ratio of 2.88. There was particularly 2 stashes that gave people trouble. Once again, my viewers still needed help finding that Noxcrew wire cave entrance. Additionally, there was another one by the Noxcrew vault/hangar that was located underneath the mountain. Day 6. Spots where players need help. This was the day where the player place had the hardest time finding them all. Maybe they tried on Monday, but then they failed, and so it's like, okay, I need to do something for Tuesday, so watch the video guide. The ratio was approaching 3 times the max player count of the server that were using videos for them to find all the stashes for that day. All of them were of equal difficulty, surprisingly, except for one that was on top of a rock where getting up to it proved tricky. Day 7. On day 7 was the start of a trend of a gradual decline in aid as people got more efficient with fitting it into their schedule during the work week cycle. However, there was 4 locations that offered grief. In general, people didn't know how to enter the mountain lab in order to get the stash and chest that was located inside. Lato's crew couldn't find the one by the feeder by the gate. For my crew, still couldn't figure out the wire cave entrance behind the Noxcrew building, and the first one that was nestled by Splinter's Workshop on LJ Chair Store also threw my viewers off, probably because they didn't know the name of the shop, with 73% retention rate at that location. And the other one that threw my viewers off was one that was in the Path Network by Green Base. Day 8. Despite only being the 4th hardest day of the event, there was a triple threat today that most players struggled on. First one was inside a fish tank that is hard to locate since it was inside, and then if you did spot it from outside, you didn't know how to get inside the tank. One way was through the sewers like I did, while Lato found a hole in the glass that blended in pretty good. The next one surprised me for how hard everyone had a hard time finding it. It was the one that was located in the open air garden next to a main walking path that was commonly missed by 75% of the viewers. Looking back on the location though, after the event, the sight lines around the location aligned perfectly for anyone going by to miss it. The chest that was hidden in an air pocket at the bottom of the ocean also served trouble for players. However, it wasn't that bad, since during in-game chat, there was lots of people saying where the chest was, since they seem to have an addiction for just the chest and not the stashes. Day 9. Weekday comes to a close, with it being Friday, giving more players to play into the night, making the overall need for help go down. There was only some minor problems, the first one being with the Dynaball house, sitting at a 63% retention rate, while also having a hard time getting the stash by Taylor Giota on a rock in the cave. Sorry if I butchered that name. And then there was also the chest that was on top of pink carrots, mainly how the Noxcrew do I get up the tree, with 89% of the watchers were lost on how to climb that tree. Day 10. The weekend has arrived, with it being Saturday, so once again the player count shoots up, with the amount of time they have also shooting up, which means the help they need for a video guide goes shooting straight down. So the player place didn't have a particularly hard time, but there is some worthy mentions. First one is, I guess people didn't scream for ice cream, otherwise they wouldn't have been lost for this one. Everyone this time, unlike day 1, needed help finding this one underneath Green Base in the secret cave shrine. My group couldn't find the one in the calf, located next to the town hall, while Lato's group seemed to have distrust with banks since they seemed to have a hard time getting around it. Day 11. Lowest portion of the players using a video thanks to the weekend, plus Europe had a time change there of daylight saving, which ended up giving them an extra hour of daylight during the day to help them find all the stashes and chests, which really dropped the need of watching a video for the rest of the event. There was only one really confusing location, which was above green golems, since it was underground, but it was on a roof of a building with 81% retention rate. But for the 5th time, my viewers still didn't remember the underwater cave entrance of where it was, behind the Noxcrew building, with 80% retention rate still being on that highlight there. And the other one was just on the beach underneath the lighthouse with 80% retention rate there. Day 12. Not much details this time around other than the locations of pain. One of them was inside the target cave. The next one was past the Ferris wheel by an escape pod. And the chest on Halo Mountain. For my viewers specifically, they were confused about one that was located in the sewers, and one of them that was located on the back of the island between that the town and the land and town and the water. People probably got lost there because I didn't know what to name that stash. Day 13! Halloween Day. The ratio of viewers to max player count remained roughly the same, however it was overall lower since people were out trick-or-treating instead of playing Minecraft. Due to the crunch time, people were jumping everywhere to save time because there were pretty low spikes at every single stash location, as this one had the most number of noticeable spots, 6 locations. Now there was 4 that was shared across all the videos. One of them was the target cave again for the second day in a row. There was the one that was on the mountain by the radio tower. There was another one that was the chest, where you had to get arrested in the sewer. Surprisingly, it only had a retention rate of 75%, which was lower than the other one. It means the player base finds it easier for them to get themselves arrested than it is to climb a mountain. And then my viewers specifically, they also needed help on these other ones, like the one underneath the Battle Pass shop, one that was in a cave up to the gnome maker thing with a person named Blockaxe there, and one that was on a rock along the coastline. Day 14.
Behold the master list. It is yours.
Wait, what happens when I read it?
No one knows, but read it, Paul, and fulfill your destiny. Read it and become the list master here.
Whoa!
It's impossible to open. Okay, come on, baby. Come on now. Thank you.
Probably loosened it up for you, though. Okay, here goes. It's blank.
What?
Here, look.
No, I am forbidden to look upon. Blank. I don't understand.
Meanwhile, at Noxcrew headquarters.
Guys, what the heck is course? To be 0-3 and beat 2-3, it's impossible.
Oh, something's going wrong.
You move way too fast. Literally, the hands would disappear before you could jump onto the platforms.
Another problem. Parkour Warrior game, it gets stuck on locating a server and just keeps going back between finding a server and 15 out of 16 players. Also, it appears that the queue system for Parkour Warrior, you're able to carry it over into any lobby, not just the one for Parkour Warrior. Remember on day 2, hidden consequences not yet known? Well, the theory goes that they shifted day's free locations to day 2 and so on to fix it. But then they forgot that day 14 no longer had a list until the day of. So with all of that going on, it took them an hour and 40 minutes for them to fix the stash hunt for the last day. Anyways, day 14. The demand for a video guide today was down, mostly because it was the day after Halloween, so many people thought the event ended on Halloween until it was much later on in the day when they joined regularly. That, and also their quick fix at having no list was just to repeat the locations of previous days. So if you remember where some of the locations were from previous days, you didn't need the video guide to help you guide you along to the same locations. Despite this, people still had a hard time finding a couple of them. One of them was near the mountain climber with a retention rate of 89%, and specifically my group needed help finding 2. One of them was in a beach pocket by the Samurai Jojo underneath the lighthouse for the second time at a 2% retention rate, and another one by the blue tent at 76% retention rate. Now it's some time for some overall stats. So first, let's start off with the YouTuber table. First of all, Leto, he won by a landslide, getting first with the most number of views. Looking at the data that I had, it's probably due to his style of video that didn't have any chords, timestamps, or words of the stasher locations, which in return boosted the retention rate throughout the whole video and gave him more watch time, which the YouTube recommendation system really liked and helped promote to the top. However, as time went on and viewers spotted advantages of the other creators that had those things like the timestamps, the words, and the chords, and they started swapping creators, so Lato was slowly losing steam as the event went on, and if the event went longer, I would have probably taken the lead in views. Other than that, viewers pretty well stuck to the first creator they saw. As you can see, weekends are really good for the player count, but really bad for the creators, as most people have more free time, unlike during the week. And then once people got adapted to the working week, the need for help gradually decreased, as you can see in week 1. However, with week 2, that's not the case, mostly because there was a daylight changing time that was basically for all of Europe, that basically took a sledgehammer to our view counts, since it gave people an extra hour during the day to find all the stashes, breaking the weekday trend that we saw in the previous week. That and also Halloween celebrations just took people offline from the server in general. Let's take a moment of reflection on all the maps and their locations. Sadly, there wasn't any stashes on any of the boats nor in the cave system that was connected to police station. That chest was the closest one to it. Now let's determine which stash/chest location was the hardest of the whole event. So first of all, how to determine which stash/chests were difficult? We basically took the ones that had the spikes in retention rate in both videos. They told us in mind, eliminating any errors that was caused by the video itself that the creator did. And that's how the list of candidates were formed, and then from that list of candidates, in order to determine the rankings of them, we used the player ratio, once again calculated by taking the average retention across the 2 videos that we had the stats for, times the total daily views of that day, divided by the max players that were online that day. Now for the top 6 hardest locations. Number 6. Well, I lied to you, because there's actually a freeway tie for 4th place, all sitting at a ratio of 1.85. So the first one here was the mountain lab, the stash in the chest on day 7. That hidden entrance on the top of the mountain made this one a challenging one. The next one is the underwater cave chest at the bottom of the ocean on day 8. Who knew that air pocket existed? The last tied one here is the chest on top of pink parrots on day 9. Sounds easy until you can't spot where the parkour is. Number 3. Target Mountain Cave at 1.86 on day 12, with an honorable mention of its twin appearance on day 13 at 1.57. Number 2. Topper Rock Boulder at 1.92 on day 6, mainly just how to get on top of the boulder. Number 1. Inside the fish tank, sitting at a ratio of 2.33 on day 8. It's easy to miss, and if you do spot it, it's hard how to get to it. Here's the table of the top 22 locations that were the most difficult, based on using the spike trend. As you can see, the day trends from the YouTuber tables that I mentioned previous appears here too. Okay, now my personal experience about the entire event. First of all, the videos, they were good for my analytics for the time the event was running, but since the videos only are good for 24 hours, after that the views kind of just drop off. The subscriber count boost that I got, that'd be the most remaining impact since they don't really disappear. And then for me, the event, it started at 6 in the morning every day, so that actually for once, believe it or not, gaming actually forced me to have a regular bedtime. So gaming actually improved my health cycle there, surprisingly. And then on the server, over the events, I actually gained 15 friends from helping people out, and I got recognized and given thanks by many players through in-game chat or on YouTube comments. For the loot I only got 2 ancient spirits from chest and had crafted one. Eventually the order I did so was a mistake, because essentially I only got my first one on day 12, and the first item you can get, you need it too. And I knew the amount of crafting time, it's over 24 hours, so if there was only 2 days left, it's like, okay, I need to start crafting now in order to have it by the end of the events, because at that time, nobody knew if the shops were sticking around for any time after the events ended. And then after I crafted that one, pretty well on the same day, I got another, so now I was sitting at free, so I could buy that mask thing, except I wasn't particularly a fan of it, and I was aiming for that armor, and then I had enough, and I had prepped to craft a 4th one, but I needed 5 to get to it, and despite me grinding on the last day as much as I can, hoping to get that 4th one so I can quickly craft the 5th one, I had no luck, so I bought the staff, and so that when I crafted it, I just have wasted in my inventory, and there's not much I can do about it until hopefully it gets reused next Halloween. Other than that, I spent that 30 spirits I had stocked up to get as many items as I could. I got a whole bunch, so in terms of that way, it was pretty good. For the candy, I pretty well just bought as many make-it chests as I could. Other than that, I believe that is it. Have a good day, and I guess we'll meet again.